Welcome to Get Engaged, LSSSC's podcast where we share heartwarming stories of hope and explore topics that matter to our communities with the help of experts and thought leaders. I'm Mark Wimberley, your host for today, and I'm excited to bring you insightful conversations on a wide range of topics. So sit back, relax, and get ready to engage. Now, I'm honored today to be with my very good friend, Mr. Doy Henley, who is a leader here in the community of Orange County and beyond. It's great to have you with me here today.
And thank you very much for the invitation. And I'm sure we'll have some conversation that might be useful when you consider what it means to be engaged.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's begin real quick. I would love for you to share with us a little bit about your background, how you came from Illinois out here. What brought you out here?
A job, because in those days, in the early 50s in our country, there was such an occasion and every place was busy and all that, except where I was back in Illinois. We discovered that there was more jobs in Southern California than they had people to fill. So we determined that we would leave our home, family, all of our friends, and make it across the country to Southern California. And it was quite a challenge for us, but I was a lot younger in those days, and we came across, me, my wife, and my son.
That's great. And you were in aerospace, right? You did aerospace technologies?
Well, I during the war, if you remember, because I'm an old guy, been around a long time, but the country was mobilized. And when the war ended in 45, I graduated from high school in 47. And I had been trained with the opportunity to understand manufacturing and machining and welding and all the things that was necessary for the war effort. And those jobs were available by the scores here in Southern California. Not back there, but out here. So when we got here, we arrived on a Sunday. We parked our trailer in a trailer park right across from on Century Boulevard up in Englewood, right across from the racetrack there. We parked it and asked the lady that ran the trailer park where the ocean was. Because not only had we not been anywhere prior to that trip, but we'd never seen the ocean. And she looked at me rather strangely, and she said, "It's that way, right down the street." I said, "You think we can find it all right?" She said, "I guarantee you cannot miss it."
Can't miss it.
As a consequence, that was our first trip down Century Boulevard past LAX Airport, where there was lots of signs for help wanted, and we found the ocean, by the way.
Good. I'm glad. That's awesome. And so you've been here in the Orange County area basically ever since, right?
That's right.
That's fantastic. And in a moment, we'll talk a little bit about some of the things you've done in Orange County. But I wanted to really quick touch on, you said a minute ago when we were talking in the other room that you are a lifelong Lutheran.
Well, that's exactly right. My wife was born and raised in Springfield, Illinois. And there was a seminary there, and the church was very strong in and around Springfield. They're in Lincoln Country. And so that's, I met her there, and beautiful young blonde Lutheran. And I'll be darned if I didn't figure out that if this was going to go anywhere, I needed to find out what this Lutheran thing is. And so they let me come to their church, and I became Lutheran with them. Needless to say, she spent her life with me. So that was a good thing, a timely thing for me. And so we been a Lutheran ever since then. We got to California, we had some trouble finding what our churches, but when we got to Orange County, well, we did find our church at St. John's, or the Orange, and we've been there ever since. Been a long time.
That's great. That's fantastic. We're going to take a short break and be right back with some more questions about your involvement in Orange County.
Okay.
Don't go away. And if you've been inspired by anything you've heard on today's podcast and would like to volunteer for Lutheran Social Services of Southern California, see our website, lsssc.org, select Donate, then Volunteer, and donate your time and talent to a cause you care about most.
Well, thanks again so much for joining us. I wanted to touch a little bit about some of your activity here, especially in Orange County. I know you're really active with Chapman University and Concordia University. When did you get started in higher education?
My goodness, it's been so long ago. I went through a good friend of mine, Mr. George Ardress.
Mm-hmm.
He's a well-known fellow here in Orange County. And George is a friend of mine. Our families were friendly, and we got on together, had some other things that we were involved with. But he was involved and was a graduate of Chapman University. And we'd go to lunch, and ostensibly we were going to lunch, but we would end up going to Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that quite a bit back in the early days, and the school was just getting started really here in Orange County. I bought the place in 1957, I think, is when we acquired the old closed high school, refurbished it, and turned it into a school that was going along. And by that point in time, it was just not doing much, just getting its foundation under.
Right.
And the great thing that we had was we had a faculty that was extraordinary and was very effective. And what we did there, and I didn't know anything about higher education, but we got into just making it work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what started us. I've been there, I was in the early 80s,
Mm-hmm.
a little before, I think. But that was about the time. But so Chapman had a big part of my life since then. So,
Right.
But at that point in time, it was kind of something we were just doing on the side a little bit.
Right. And now you're involved a lot in Concordia University, which is Lutheran, just like you are.
Yeah. Well, Concordia started, it's got about 50 years in. I think that's how old it is. And I've been involved for the last 10 years or so, just on the fringe.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, Chapman has kept me busy for all these years. But we also got involved at Concordia, and they go through the same kinds of things that we do at Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very rewarding opportunity, because what you're doing is helping young people make that transition into life that's what it is out there.
Right.
And both schools were founded from churches, and as a consequence, they were aligned a great deal. The Lutheran Church was a little different, but the truth is they both were working on the same thing with young people. And it was an exciting thing, seeing that, being part of that transition in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it were very effective.
Yeah. And being involved in higher education like this, you've had a really good opportunity to mentor a lot of younger people and really pour into their lives, especially just like you said, as they transition into sort of the real world, kind of the adult world. What's that been like for you?
Well, the most rewarding, of course, is the transition that takes place with young people when they move from the theoretical age of 18 to 22. That they're not sure what they want to do. They're concerned about how they're going to do it. They're away from home, most of them. And, there's difficulties of all kinds. The education is not just the educational part of the academics, but of maturing and growing up and becoming really a functioning part of our society. In fact, the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
And the rewards, when all kinds of things begin to be a problem in their lives, and some people handle it easily, and others it's a bit more of a struggle. but it's a great to be a part of it and see whenever they walk across the stage on graduation and commencement days. It's a great day.
It's a wonderful day. Yeah, yeah. And it's probably really nice to be able to point to that and say, like, I was able to help them. I was able to, that was some place I was able to touch their life and enrich it.
That's exactly right. Well, my friend George, he kept telling me we're going to like this thing and we ought to like it. I was a little bit apprehensive at the beginning because he had been through Chapman and he had graduated from Chapman and was beginning to build his life, and he did very, very well. And I'm very proud of him, very proud of everything that George has been able to do, and also, in fact, for bringing me along.
Right.
And but on the days and times that I didn't want to be there, I was there.
Yeah.
So and we had made a great. The results has been very satisfying, and to see the success that Chapman has enjoyed, and has become a real impactful opportunity for young people as they make their lives. Mm-hmm. Our business, film schools, our law schools, our graduate schools, the things that we do there, I'm very proud of them, and they're excellent for the purposes for which people can learn.
Right. Yeah. Tell me where you think you see universities like Chapman and Concordia in the future, in the coming decades, 2 or 3.
Well, based upon where we come from and how it's been, it is going to change. We won't like it, but it does. It will change. Most of us like things to stay the same once we think we were there. But in a dynamic opportunity that like higher education, it is in constant change. The mission and responsibility to teach people what they need to know, and trying to make sure that we know what that is and do the research to understand that we're doing the best for them that we can. And that is a changing thing. The economics of the whole situation is dramatic. The costs are not, the excellent process is expensive. So we have to find and figure new ways to try to make sure that we can do that so that we can continue to deliver first-class education. And it costs too much. It takes too long. I think our students will say we don't have 4 years. We're going to need to do this in about 2 or 2.5 or 3, and which a great many of them now are doing that. Mm-hmm. And it's going to require us to adapt new plans and so forth. And also it's just the differences in what people need today as opposed to what it was 25 years ago. It's different. Your business courses are going to be different. They're going to have different learning patterns. The curriculums will change, I think, then, and the way we can teach and make the transitions, I think that's going to be different. Other parts of it will never change, as such things as becoming part of a class, part of people that are educated, part of people that are growing up at the same time. I think the campus life, the relationships that are made, the times that we're there, and the way we operate, I think is going to continue to be a challenge. And, of course, housing is always the problem. And also is a big issue. And it's the same thing in whether you're at home or with the folks or whether you're away at college or university. Being there, those costs are always going to be a factor. And it's going to require our best management and strategy.
We'll be right back with this month's guest. To read a free digital copy of Engage Magazine, go to lsssc.org, go to News, and select Engage Magazine. Or, for your free subscription to the quarterly printed edition of Engage, go to lsssc.org, select Contact Us, and subscribe.
Mr. Henley, I want to transition now a little bit into some of the philanthropic efforts you've made here, not just in higher education, but also in our local community here with the Salvation Army and with Ruth's House. Tell me a little bit about how you got started doing that.
Well, first off, you have to go to work.
Sounds good.
And I went to work and built my own business, and I guess I can say that it was very successful. We did well, and we changed from being having the reason. I think of the reasons why we moved to California, why it worked out, because I was able to find jobs, make some money, do well as built my own company, and I was very fortunate. Had good people. The people who worked for me were very responsive to what we were trying to do. And in that day and age in Southern California, there was opportunities, both if you could get the money together to buy a piece of property, why you turn around twice and it's appreciated in value. Mm-hmm. People's homes appreciate in value. People in most parts of the country, that doesn't happen. You buy a home for your price that you pay for it, and chances are it'll go down in value, but not here,
right?
Because of the constant demands.
Right.
And so the same thing in industrial building, which I was involved with, because that's kind of buildings we needed for the businesses, and we were in the manufacturing business at a time whenever the demand was great for the need, and if you could meet the needs of your customers, you had plenty of business to do, and your company could grow or be in a successful mode. And doing so, we made some money, and as a consequence, as we did well, we was able to be able to make things happen otherwise. We participate with, of course, the other people, and I didn't do anything big by myself, but I was involved with others, and collectively we did things. And that's especially at Chapman, and at Concordia later, that too. And then there's been some other things that we were able to do. The youth center at Salvation Army is one. There's others around probably best left unsaid because you don't need to share that. But there were some other things that we did and was involved with it, and trying to do the right thing for making the parks work and a few things like that, just because we were in a situation where we could. And that was one of the great rewards you have, is whenever you have the option to participate. And that's how it works out. People are always, you can always find something worthwhile that you need to invest your time in. And if you don't do that, why don't you need to think about what do you want to do, Mm-hmm. So it was always fun to be able to do that. My friend George was always a great leader in that, and we did some things that was worthwhile.
That's great. That's great. And tell me what role your faith played in your efforts to make the world a better place like this.
Yeah, just more of the same thing. We need to be involved with the things such as the great work that we do at places like I was involved with the Salvation Army and the work they do. A church organization that was the greatest, actually was probably the biggest 501c3 operation in the world, the Salvation Army way back when, and still doing a job. It's a relatively small organization, but the work they do makes a huge difference for a lot of people. And you can't believe how, and it's a Christian church. Mm-hmm. That's what they do as the work of the church, is what gets rewarded, and that's why people make gifts to the Salvation Army. And that's only one. Every organization that's in that condition that does those kinds of things will survive and they will do well. And there's plenty of room for one more.
Absolutely.
It's called being engaged.
Absolutely. Yes. Good word for it.
To get involved.
Yes. All right.
Up next, some final thoughts. And to discover all the many ways you can donate your treasure to Lutheran Social Services to help vulnerable people in Southern California, go to lsssc.org and select Donate.
So, Mr. Henley, thank you so much for joining me again today and for speaking with me about just all the things you've been doing. Before we go, I wonder if there's any more last thoughts you'd like to address us all with,
Sure.
Inspire us with.
Well, one of the things that's important when you look around at the end of the day and wonder what you can do, I feel sorry for people that go through life and they sit at home and watch daytime TV or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that if that's what you need to do, but the truth is there are other things that you can do. You can be involved in so many good causes and so many good operations that are going on and to help people that need some help. Most people think that people that need help are just lazy or something. That's not the case at all. We need to step up, offer some opportunities that we can make happen, and support them in the way of different organizations that are doing something for the cause. It is a righteous cause. You can feel really good about it. It's what the Almighty God said whenever He was giving us instructions. You got to do for others, and then you need to take care of them. And actually, His best description, you got to love one another. And in doing that, that's the least you can do.
Well, thanks for tuning in to Get Engaged. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please subscribe to this podcast and leave a review on your favorite platform. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media sites to keep up to date with all the ways LSSSC embraces, equips, and empowers Southern Californians in your community. Until next time.